Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Guest, and welcome to the Imagine Golf Podcast, brought to you by Imagine Golf and PXG. You can go to our site, imaginegolf.com, to see all of our offerings, including our free drills, our practice plans, our golf ebooks and videos. I just posted another ebook up there today. Or to book a lesson with me at our state-of-the-art studio right outside of Philadelphia, or virtually through our partner, golfliveapp.com. And you can sign up for our free tips and videos that go out once a week, every week, by simply dropping us your email. Hey, look, we are almost 2 full months into the PGA season, if you would, the tour, right? And I think we're in trouble. you know, I record all things golf, right? My DVR probably has 80% of it. No, I wouldn't say that. Probably 70% of the storage on my DVR is golf. Probably 25% is hockey, and the rest is some other show my wife and I are watching. So and Wheeler Dealers, I forgot about that. So but that's it, right? I mean, I watch a ton of golf whenever I'm working at night. I always have golf in the background. When I have some downtime, I'm catching up on golf. I'm a big golf fan, right? I don't want to say I'm a student of the game, but I'm a student of the game, right? I like to watch golf, and I watch all golf. I watch the PGA Tour. I watch the Live Tour. I watch the LPGA Tour. I watch the DP World Tour. I watch the collegiate amateurs. I just like to watch golf, right? And man, after this weekend, I couldn't help myself. I turned to my wife and I said, man, this is not good for the PGA Tour, right? And we're going to get to the Waste Management Open in a minute here, but let's just take a look at the year, right? The year in golf, first and foremost, right? So you have what I think the start this year was the Tournament of Champions. That used to be a big, giant tournament, and sure enough, lots of champions by definition were in this, right? A guy by the name of Chris Kirk won, right? Most of you probably never heard of him. Now, it's a great story, right? I mean, he's coming back for some demons, if you would. So that, give him props for that. But no one's tuning in to watch Chris Kirk win the Tournament of Champions. I guarantee that. And no one even remembers his name 2 or 3 weeks, much less 2 or 3 years later. And then you have the Sony, another tournament that big sponsorship, lots of pro-ams and all that. Grayson Murray won that tournament. Grayson Murray. And then you have the American Express, possibly the biggest of the three as far as like sponsorship venues and tents and all that stuff. Just a huge production, right? Huge production. And another good story, right? Amateur, Nick Dunlap wins it, right? College golfer, right? So, but no one's tuning in to see him play, right? And I think what was next? I'm doing this off the top. Farmers, the Farmers Insurance. Oh, Matthew Pavin won that. And I guarantee you don't know him. I didn't say Matthew Perry, right? Who's not with us anymore. I said Matthew Pavin, right? And no one knows him. And then you had the Pebble Beach tournament, the AT&T tournament. Again, used to be star-filled, right? Star-filled, not only star-filled with like celebrities and corporate America, highfalutins, if you would, but every important golfer, at least in the top 10 were there, right? Much less the top 25. And you get Wyndham Clark to win it, right? I like Wyndham Clark, right? And by the way, all these guys are really good golfers, right? They just don't have the star power that you expect when you tune in, especially on Friday and Saturday, right? To garner some ratings. And the ratings for the PGA are down significantly, right? So and then today is the day after, it's Monday, after the Waste Management. And you have Nick Taylor, who won in a playoff. And while the playoff was cool and getting to the end was cool, I could do a whole podcast on the Waste Management, man. I got to tell you, I think it's over the top. All right. It's the people's tournament. I get it. I love the tournament. I love the golf course. I played there multiple times. In fact, one time I played there just a couple days after the tournament. So the stands were still there. You felt like a rock star, even though there was nobody in the stand except the people that were starting to take down the stuff. There was no one in the stands, but it was really, really cool, playing in that stadium type of environment. Yeah, I mean, even the players, some of the players are complaining about how crazy it's getting. Now, the one the one video that went viral, we actually put it up on our social media where a fan is carrying another fan out like a military, veteran, if you would, leave no man behind. He's got him up around his shoulders. He's a big dude too, man. And he's walking him out because he's passed out drunk. I'd be hard pressed to listen to an argument that says how that's better for golf, right? The whole throwing of stuff on the course, if you would, on the 16th hole, and now I'm not a fan, right? I love the rowdiness. I used to love just watching, golfer or the fans get on golfers' cases when they hit a poor shot. I love the pressure that it puts on golfers, and I used to love the golfers throwing hats and balls and all kinds of things into the stands. But it's just become an absolute drunk fest, if you would. So they're going to have to reel that in. But back to my point, right? So you have all these tournaments, this wraparound schedule that we have now. Basically, there's golf on every weekend, and you are not seeing, a lot of good golf, and you're seeing rarely are you seeing some great golf, and it makes you wonder, right? It really makes you wonder what's going on with the PGA. Is there trouble in the ranks? Is there trouble on tour? Look at the waste management as an example, right? Who showed up this week for the waste management tournament, right? Not a lot of people, right? So, I mean, 5 stars, right? You had Justin Thomas, you had Scotty Scheffler, now the world's number one, I get it, right? Spieth, Fowler, who else? The guy from Ireland. So I mean, who else? Right? Matthew Fitzpatrick. Sorry about that. Look, I mean, it definitely wasn't a star-studded event, right? So, and then on top of that, right, they still don't have a deal closed with the Saudis, with the PIF, right? And now they got a new partner, right? And the what do they call it? FSG, right? Fenway Sports Group, right? They're going to invest $1.5 billion positive, right? Possibly up to $3 billion. They're going to take $900 million of that and basically distribute it to the top, 36 or 40 some players, I heard. So, which is kind of like a pay me for staying kind of thing, right? And I thought that wasn't good, right? I thought when you take money, just for the sake of taking money because it's there, like the Live guys did, I thought that wasn't good. Oh, and by the way, I thought that 54 holes wasn't good and a shortened field wasn't good. And that's exactly what the AT&T was this year. Pebble Beach was 54 holes. Now it's shortened due to weather, but they still give Wendell Clark the trophy, if you would, right? And he got 71 points, world ranking points. I mean, come on, man. All right. I mean, just the hypocrisy and the flip-flopping it's just crazy. I don't know how anyone with a straight face can say that here we are, February 12th, that the PGA is in top command of their venues and of their craft, if you would, and their product, I should say. There's just no way, man. You just cannot make that argument, right? It's impossible. You could say that you don't like everything else, except the PGA Tour. I'm a PGA Tour guy. I get it. But you cannot say they're at the top of their game, right? I mentioned earlier, I watch all golf. I am a fan of some of what Liv's got going on. I'm definitely a fan of the players on Live, right? I watched during the PGA, or excuse me, the AT&T, right? They had a bunch of weather-related issues, so it was easy to flip back and watch a bunch of the Live at Mayakoba, whatever they call it out there. Gorgeous course, right? And dude, I got sucked in. All right. I mean, Joaquin Neiman, John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Bruce Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Graham McDowell, Cam Smith, Patrick Reed, Terrell Hatton, Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson. So I could go on and on. All right. I mean, I could probably name, 35 of the top 45 golfers there. Now, and look, I'm 58 years old, so got a little bit of history on my side, time on my side. I'm on the back nine, if you would. But um, I'd rather watch those guys than the up and comers that are on the tour. And by the way, speaking of up and comers, right? I keep hearing, and a bunch of industry people are saying, "Oh, it's harder than ever to win on the PGA Tour." I'm thinking, what? That doesn't even make just say that out loud, and that doesn't make any sense. Even if you just take the fact that you took a bunch of live guys away from the tour and arguably a bunch of the top 10, right? Uh, how is that going to make it harder? If anything, that's going to make it easier, right? I heard Hank Haney say something that was kind of a backhanded comment because, yeah, it's so hard to win on the PGA Tour that an amateur just did it, right? So I don't I don't know that I believe in that so much, right? Because that's just the right time and place, and lightning struck. Guy caught lightning in a bottle, right? But you get my point, right? There's no way this is the hardest time in a long time to win on the PGA Tour. Just the opposite. It's absolutely the easiest time to win on the PGA Tour. Um, I have a couple ideas, right? But I don't have that many, right? I think that they got to shorten the season. It's just too much. It's overexposed, right? I made a joke the other day that got the PGA Tour is like Kevin Hart, right? Kevin Hart's from our area. I love Kevin Hart. I actually met Kevin Hart, regular guy, man. And but dude, he's on everything, right? So I am Kevin Harted out right now. I think the PGA Tour could take a lesson from that. The fatigue on viewership is high right now. All right. They got to get these players to play in more tournaments, right? On the PGA Tour, you have to play an X amount of tournaments, but you can pick and choose what those tournaments are, right? On the Live tournament, as an example, everyone has to play, right? And I get it, right? There's less tournaments, but it doesn't matter. If I'm a viewer, I want to see these people play, right? The NBA has a similar challenge with this load management, if you would, where players sit out, right? And you have the Lakers, as an example, come to your city, and LeBron isn't playing, not because he's hurt, just because he's sitting out and load managing his schedule and his body or whatever. But meanwhile, you paid a ton of money to see LeBron and the Lakers play your local team. All right. Yeah, that's not a good fan experience, right? And the NBA is actually making a change. They're looking at that. The PGA needs to do something similar, right? You can't just have a bunch of great golfers, right? Great by definition. They're the top echelon, top 1% of 1%ers, right, that are playing on the PGA Tour. But that's not just what everyone wants to see, all right? And golf isn't, the tour is in trouble with respect to stars, right? I mean, if they lose one or two more stars, I'm telling you, man, it's a problem, right? I don't know who else, is going to go. I wish I did, right? But clearly Live is not done. They're going to, recruit some more players. So these elevated events that they have, I'll be interested to see a couple of those and how they resonate, if you would, and how they pull them off. Is it better competition, right? Are more stars in the mix, especially on Sunday? Who knows, right? But in its current format, I got to tell you, I had more fun watching the Live and the LPGA recently than I did having watched the PGA tournament. And that's saying a shit ton, right? So they got to figure that out. And look, I'm a fan of golf. Like I said that a million times. I hope they do figure it out. I hope they take some suggestions from people that are way smarter than me. But it clearly can't just continue the way it is, right? It's an absolute snorer watching some of these events, man. An absolute snorer. And yeah, it's got to stop, right? And by the way, what's going to happen in the majors, right? The majors are going to be a reflection on the PGA Tour, and if they're not going to let these live guys in, how competitive are the majors going to be, right? I mean, right now they're working it out, and some of these guys have exemptions, and I get all that. What about 5 years from now? What about 3 years from now, when some of those exemptions dry out? It's going to be a huge problem, right? A huge problem, right? If you have these guys that I just mentioned, the Grayson Murrays, the Nick Dunlaps, the Chris Kirks, on Sunday at the British Open, and no star appeal, the ratings are going to tank. I mean, they are just going to tank. Because while people love golf, they love watching guys and girls that they know, and they have something that they feel like, maybe not necessarily in common, but that's their person, that's their golfer, right? That's their guy, that's their girl. You don't have hardly any of that on the PGA Tour anymore, and it's their own fault, right? But something's got to change. I'm hoping they figure it out. I think they're going to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, for those of you that are saying, listen to this podcast, you're 20 minutes in and you're like, oh, he's just a big live guy. That's not what I'm saying. All right. I am a live supporter. I enjoy live, but I preface that with I love all golf. Right. So I would like nothing more than to sit down in front of the television on a Saturday and Sunday and be totally absorbed into the AT&T at Pebble Beach, because the players are so good, the golf is so good, the course is amazing with all the history that it is, and I can't move for 5 or 6 hours, man. But that's just not been the case. So let's see what happens, right? Lackluster to say the least. We got another month in this quarter, right? And then we'll review it again in the next couple of weeks. We'll review it probably getting towards the end of the second quarter. But so far, not so impressed, right? And look, that's pretty much all I have. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and please hit the follow button wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the platforms, if you would, and be sure to check out our site, imaginegolf.com. You can follow us on all the social media platforms, including YouTube. And as always, here's to getting you the game that you've always imagined.